Welcome to the Strategy Sync YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like to hear new book summaries. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the book $100 Leads.
It's great to be here, and this is a big one. We're really diving into what the author presents as a non-theoretical blueprint. It's all about how to get customers.
Exactly. No fluff. And the premise is fascinating. He views advertising not as this, necessary evil or an expense,
Right.
but as the single most profitable investment vehicle you can have.
Which is a huge mental shift for most people. I mean, he built portfolio companies that combined are doing over $250 million in annual revenue based on this idea.
That immediately reframes the whole conversation. We're not talking about marketing philosophy here. We're talking about the nuts and bolts, the actual mechanics he used to get a truly insane personal track record.
What was it, a 36-to-1 lifetime average return?
36-to-1. For every single dollar he spent to get a customer, $36 came back in gross profit.
That's a 3,600% ROI. I mean, when you have numbers like that, it just changes how you think about risk, about scale, about everything.
Mm-hmm.
His whole point is that, people chase wealth in real estate or the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
He built his by mastering the predictable, repeatable process of just getting customers through advertising.
Mm.
So our mission here is to really distill those core skills. How do you get a stranger interested in what you sell?
And the credentials, they speak for themselves. Hitting a net worth over $100 million by age 32, he's very clear that this one skill-generating demand, getting leads, was the most valuable asset he owned.
Mm.
So let's unpack it, starting where he does, with the crisis that forced his hand.
Right. The moment that made this skill his ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card.
Let's go there.
To really get why this is so important, we have to go back to March 2017. He and his business partner, Layla. They were running this business that was growing incredibly fast, but it was also incredibly high risk.
And it all came crashing down.
It hit a brick wall. They got slammed with a $150,000 refund crisis. Out of nowhere.
And it's so much more than just a business problem. The way he tells it, it became incredibly personal.
Oh, absolutely. He had convinced 6 of Layla's friends to quit their stable jobs to come work as sales reps for them.
Wow.
So now, with this massive refund demand, they can't even make payroll. The debt wasn't just on a balance sheet. It was, a moral debt.
And they were trapped, right, because their business model at the time meant that making more sales would actually make the problem worse.
Exactly. More sales meant more potential refunds. It was like they were in a car accelerating towards a cliff.
So what was this model, this gym launch model that was so successful but also so fragile?
Well, his initial claim to fame was mastering this system. He'd scaled 5 of his own gyms in just 3 years, and he figured out how to open them at full capacity on day 1, which in that industry is unheard of.
And the offer was just brilliant from the gym owner's perspective. It was basically zero risk for them.
Completely. The offer was, I will fill your gym in 30 days for free. I'll pay for everything, all the marketing, and my only payment is keeping the first 6 weeks of membership fees.
It's a no-brainer. If you're a gym owner, you can't say no to that.
Right. So word spread, he built up this huge upfront cash flow, and, well, that led to what he calls an ego-driven mistake. A big one.
He started thinking about equity.
He realized he was leaving all this long-term profit on the table. So he went into a 50-50 ownership partnership with a gym owner. But because the partner had, quote, poor financials, the author had to personally guarantee the lease and pay for all the startup costs himself.
I can see where this is going.
It was a complete disaster. The partner stole all the cash, wired it out of the country, filed for bankruptcy, and then accused the author of theft.
Oh my gosh.
It wiped him out. 4 years of savings, gone. Everything he'd built. It was that classic lesson, right? Experience is what you get right after you lose all your money.
So even with that huge personal loss, the core lead gen system was still working for his other clients.
It was. They were still running the gym launch model, but it was pure hustle and credit card debt. I mean, they were putting $3,300 a day on a credit card.
A day?
Per day. Just to cover ads, flights, car rentals, and paying those 6 sales reps.
That is just insane pressure.
But it worked for a time. The second month they did that, they brought in over $177,000 in revenue, which gave them maybe 30 or 40K in profit. Just enough breathing room.
Until the refund crisis hit.
Until the $150,000 refund crisis hit, and suddenly they were deeper in the hole than ever before. They needed cash, and they needed it fast.
So that forces the pivot, the desperate, brilliant pivot.
Yeah, they had to get rid of the risk factor, which was the gym owners and all the overhead from travel. So they decided to sell online fitness programs directly to consumers.
Which cuts out the flights, the hotels, and most importantly, the risk of a gym owner telling members to ask for a refund.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They already knew the ads worked, so they just pointed them at their own online programs. Within days, they were hitting $1,000 a day in cash upfront sales.
Okay, so that's a working model. It's profitable, but it's not going to get them $150,000 in a month.
Not even close.
Yeah.
So the plan was to get their sales reps on the phone selling these online programs, aiming for $8,000 a day. At that rate, they could just barely clear the debt.
But then the phone call happened, the one that changed everything.
The ultimate breakthrough. He calls his next scheduled gym launch client in Boise, Idaho, to cancel the whole thing. He's explaining their new online direction, and the gym owner cuts him off.
And this guy was desperate. He'd maxed out his credit cards, refinanced his house, all based on the author's promise.
And he just begs him. He says, I don't care about you running the launch for me. Just show me your system. I need the blueprint. I'll do it myself.
Wow. And the author almost said no?
He was cynical, exhausted, but he just threw out a number for the system itself, just the information. He said $6,000.
And the owner said yes, instantly.
Instantly. And that was the light bulb moment, the explosion.
Yeah.
He realized he'd been sitting on the most valuable asset the entire time.
It wasn't the service, it was the knowledge.
It was the IP. So he gets on the phone, calls the next client, quotes them $8,000. Instant yes. The one after that, $10,000, another instant yes.
How much did they make that day?
$60,000.
Yeah.
In a single day, they collected $60,000, a third of their debt gone. And it was by selling something that had zero cost to fulfill.
Just giving away the secrets.
Exactly. And that's the core lesson of the whole book. The ability to generate leads is the ultimate non-expiring get-out-of-jail-free card. It didn't matter what the product was, gym memberships, weight loss, business coaching. The skill underneath it all was the asset that saved them.
Which is why he says the first step for anyone listening is to define what an engaged lead even looks like in your business, someone who's actually ready to take that next step.
If you don't know what that is, you're just flying blind.
Okay, so that's the why. The origin story really drives home just how valuable this skill is. So let's get into the how, the operational framework. You mentioned the philosophy of his current company, acquisition.com. How does that set the stage?
It's so important because the entire model is built on giving value before you ask for anything. It's a 4-step process.
Okay.
1, they provide better free stuff than other people's paid stuff. 2, they earn the trust of entrepreneurs who are already making over $1 million in profit. 3, they invest in those entrepreneurs. And 4, they help everyone else for free. It's a commitment to overgiving. That builds trust, which is the currency of lead generation.
It's the ultimate long game. I mean, the results in his portfolio companies speak for themselves. A 1.8x revenue increase, a 3x profit increase in the first year. It works.
And that philosophy leads directly into what he calls the Core 4 framework. It's a simple 2x2 matrix that he says defines the only 4 ways to get leads.
Right. It's warm or cold audiences.
People who know you or people who don't.
Communicating either one-to-one or one-to-many.
And that gives you the only 4 methods. Warm outreach, posting content, cold outreach, and paid ads. The journey, as he lays it out, starts with what's simple and reliable, which costs you time, and moves toward what's complex and scalable, which costs you skill and money.
So let's start at square one. Method 1. Warm outreach. This is you talking one-on-one to people who already know you, your contacts, your followers, friends.
It's reliable. He says it works every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's limited by the size of your network and how much time you have.
And this is where so many people go wrong, right? They just jump straight to a sales pitch and burn that trust.
Immediately. So the book gives this this really clever framework for starting these conversations without being salesy. It's the ACA framework.
Acknowledge, compliment, ask.
Exactly. Acknowledge, compliment, ask.
Okay, so break that down. What does a good acknowledge actually sound like?
It's about active listening.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey, I saw your post. It's restating something they said in your own words. So if they posted about juggling work and family, you acknowledge how challenging that balance is. You show you actually paid attention.
Okay, so they feel seen. Then the compliment.
The compliment has to be tied to a character trait, not just an observation. So instead of cool shirt, it's you strike me as someone who's incredibly disciplined to be able to manage all of that. It feels earned. It feels sincere.
Right. And only then, after you've built that tiny bit of rapport, do you move to the ask.
And the ask is gentle. It just guides the conversation toward a problem your offer solves. So for that disciplined person, you might ask if they feel like all that hard work is costing them sleep. You're just introducing a potential pain point.
I like that. So once the conversation is flowing, you have to actually make the offer. And this is where he brings in ideas from his first book, $100 Emma Offers, specifically the value equation.
Yes, the value equation is critical. You're always trying to maximize the dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of them achieving it.
While minimizing the time delay and the effort and sacrifice required.
Exactly. So a good warm offer uses things like case studies and guarantees to just skyrocket that perceived likelihood. The script, he suggests, is genius because it's so non-pushy.
This is the ask if they know anyone script.
Right. You ask if they know anyone else who's struggling with a certain problem. By doing that, you take all the direct pressure off them. They relax. And very often, if they have the problem, they'll say, well, what about me?
That's so clever. It flips the script and has them asking you for the sale. And for people just starting out, he has some really crucial advice. Make your first 5 clients completely free.
Yeah, and that sounds counterintuitive, but it's pure strategy. First, you just need the practice. You need the reps on the sales script without the pressure of a paying client.
Right. He says you probably suck for now, which is brutally honest.
It is. And free clients are way more forgiving. But most importantly, they give you feedback and testimonials. You need those reviews to boost the perceived likelihood for everyone who comes after. It's how you get good fast.
And he provides a benchmark that's actually really motivating. He says if you can do 500 warm reach outs a week, which is a ton of work, you should get 1 customer for every 100.
Which, even with a modest $400 product, can get you over $100,000 a year. Just from your time and your existing network, no ad spend.
It proves that the barrier to a 6-figure income is often just consistent effort. But that method, warm outreach, it has a ceiling. It's limited by your time.
It is. So to scale beyond that, you have to move to the next box in the matrix. One-to-many communication for your warm audience. And that is method 2, posting free content.
This requires a big mindset shift. He hammers this point home. The content itself isn't the asset.
The audience is the asset. The content is just the tool you use to build and nurture that audience. It's about moving from inefficient one-to-one to efficient one-to-many.
And this was a huge turning point for him personally. He was successful, but he saw these other creators getting massive results with less effort.
Yeah, he paid $120,000 for a few mentorship calls with an influencer just to find out the secret. And the secret was almost disappointingly simple.
It was about volume.
Pure volume. The mentor just said, you posted once today. I posted 3 times. You posted on LinkedIn once this week. I posted 5 times today. The advice was just post 10 times more.
And the result of just doing that.
He added 1.2 million followers in 6 months just by upping the volume. Because volume maximizes your chances of hitting the right person with the right message at the right time.
But you can't just post junk. It has to have a structure. And that's where he introduces the content unit. Hook, retain, and reward.
Right. 3 simple parts to every piece of content.
So let's start with the hook. This is what stops the scroll. If your hook fails, nothing else matters. How does he recommend standing out?
By using your personal experience. Nobody has your story, your failures, your wins. He breaks it down into 5 types of experiences you can draw from.
The far past, recent past, present.
Right, and trending topics, and even manufactured experiences, like his example of trying to live on $100 for a month just to see what would happen. You frame your experience to provide a clear benefit to the audience.
And tiny changes to the hook can make a massive difference, like just adding the words how to a headline.
Huge difference. The hook has to communicate the why. Why should I stop and give you my attention? That's its only job.
Okay, so you hook them. Now you have to retain them, and this is all about curiosity.
It is. He uses 3 main structures for this: lists, steps, and stories.
Why are those so powerful?
Lists work because the reward is flexible. If the title is 7 mistakes, you know 7 rewards are coming, but you don't know what they are, so you keep watching. Steps are even better because you have to consume them in order to get the full value. And stories. Well, stories are the ultimate retention tool. They're built on unresolved questions.
Which leads to his core belief about content length.
There's no such thing as too long, only too boring. If you can keep them curious and deliver value, people will consume hours of your content.
So you hook them, you retain them, and then you have to reward them. You have to deliver on the promise of the hook.
You have to. If you don't, they won't come back, and they certainly won't share it. The simple test is, if your audience isn't growing, your content probably isn't rewarding enough.
So once you're building this audience, how do you monetize it without alienating everyone? This is the gift to ask ratio.
His strategy is simple. Give until they ask. It's all about reciprocity. If you just keep giving people immense value for free with no strings attached, they start to feel like kind of social debt. They want to find a way to pay you back.
So they start sharing your stuff, defending you online.
And eventually they come to you and ask, hey, what do you sell? How can I work with you? You're not chasing them, they're coming to you.
It flips the whole sales dynamic.
Completely. And if you have to make the ask, you should model something like TV, which has about a 3.5 to 1 give to ask ratio. But if you're in growth mode, you should be overgiving way more, like 10 to 1 or even 20 to 1.
And the data from his own company backs this up, right? The survey they did was pretty shocking.
Staggering. 78% of all their clients consumed at least 2 long-form pieces of content, like a podcast or a long video, before they ever even booked a sales call.
Wow. So the free content is basically doing all the pre-selling for you. It's nurturing the demand for every other advertising method you use.
Exactly. It warms up the entire ecosystem.
Okay, we've covered the warm audience methods, building on time and relationships. Now we have to make the leap into part 3, mastering the cold audience. This is about real, predictable scale.
Right. This is where you move beyond your personal network and start reaching people who have absolutely no idea who you are. And this requires a different level of structure and, frankly, a different mindset.
This shift for the author was prompted by a new hire, wasn't it?
It was. Their main ad channel was struggling, so they hired a top salesperson from a company that was doing $10 million a month using nothing but cold outreach.
100% cold outreach.
100%. And that was a huge wake-up call. It proved the market was way bigger than they thought. But the biggest lesson from that guy was about expectations. He said it would take a long time to get it right.
The author thought it would take, 12 weeks?
He did. It took almost a full year for cold outreach to become a reliable, multi-million-dollar channel for them. It is a grind.
So that sets the stage for method 3, cold outreach. This is private, one-to-one communication, but at a massive scale. And it comes with 3 unique problems you have to solve.
Right. Problem 1 is just building the list. With warm outreach, your list is who you know. With cold, you get to choose your ideal customer.
And you can get incredibly specific with this targeting.
Hyper-specific. You're not just targeting business owners. You're targeting, say, hedge fund managers with over $1 billion in assets under management, or retail stores in a 5-mile radius doing over $3 million a year. You use databases and scraping tools to build these huge, precise lists.
And that precision makes the next problem easier to solve. Problem 2, what you actually say.
This is the hard part. They don't know you. They don't trust you. So your message has to overcome that instantly. It has to feel personal, like a warm outreach, even if it's partly automated.
And the key, which he learned the hard way, is the offer.
The offer is everything. Their first attempt failed because their lead magnet was just a game planning session, which everyone knows is a sales call.
Right.
Their take rates tripled overnight when they switched to offering big, fast value up front. They started actually giving away free service, a free analysis, a free month of software, something of real value with no commitment. You have to overwhelm them with generosity.
So a targeted list plus an irresistible value-first offer. That leads to the final problem. Problem 3, volume.
Yeah. Even with the best list and the best message, response rates are low. So you need automation to send thousands of emails or make hundreds of calls a day. And just as important, you need relentless follow-up.
Because circumstances change.
Constantly. The prospect who doesn't need you today might have a catastrophe next month and desperately need you then. If you're not in their inbox that week, you lose.
And since this is so labor-intensive, you have to track the numbers religiously. How do you benchmark the cost?
It's just consistent math. Let's say you make 100 cold calls a day. Maybe 20 people pick up. And of those, maybe 25%, so 5 people, agree to take your free lead magnet. That's 5 engaged leads. You take the total cost of the person making those calls, their salary, the software, and you divide it by 5. That's your cost per engaged lead.
It's boring and tedious.
But brutally effective. It's a pure numbers game.
Okay, that brings us to the final and most scalable of the core 4. Method 4, running paid ads. Public, one of many. This is the ultimate trade of money for reach.
It is. And this goes all the way back to his famous $1,000 bet with a gym owner named Sam. He bet him $1,000 he could fill his gym using Facebook ads.
And that one ad spend, that $1,000.
Resulted in nearly $5,700 in revenue. 19 sales at $299 each. That one test proved the model, and it created the 6-week challenge that has generated billions in the fitness industry since. It proved that advertising, with enough skill, is a casino where you can become the house.
So what makes an ad actually work? He breaks it down into 3 components: callouts, value elements, and a call to action. Let's start with a callout: getting noticed.
He is absolutely ruthless about this. He says the first 5 seconds of the ad are basically the entire ad. If you don't grab their attention in that tiny window, all your money is wasted.
And he says his own ad effectiveness went up 20 times when he focused all his energy on just those first few seconds.
20 times. You do that with verbal and nonverbal callouts. A verbal one might be a label like calling out Clark County moms, or a yes question like, do you dread looking at your credit card bill? Something they have to say yes to.
And nonverbal would be visual cues.
Right. Using a dramatic before and after image. Using a spokesperson who looks and sounds exactly like your target customer. Or even just showing local landmarks in the background of the video to make it feel immediately relevant.
Okay, so you've grabbed their attention with the call out. Now you need to make them interested with the value elements. And he uses a what, who, when framework for this.
So the what is all about those core drivers from the value equation. You highlight the dream outcome, the speed, the ease, while minimizing the nightmare, the time delay, and the effort.
But then he adds the who, which I found really interesting. This isn't about the product, it's about social status.
It is. It's about how buying your product will look in the eyes of their spouse, their kids, their rivals. It frames the purchase not just as a personal win, but as a social victory. It makes it much more powerful.
And finally, the when uses time to create urgency.
Exactly. You show them their painful past, their frustrating present, and the nightmare future if they don't change. Then you contrast that with the amazing future your product enables. It makes doing nothing seem like the riskiest option.
That's a lot of creative work. Now let's get to the money stuff. The 3 phases of scaling ads.
Phase 1 is simple. Track money. Get your analytics perfect before you spend a dime. Phase 2 is the hard one. Lose money.
You have to budget to lose money.
You have to. You're paying for data. The rule of thumb is to budget twice the amount of cash you'd collect from a customer in their first 30 days, just to test a new ad campaign. If it fails, you learn something. If it works, you move to phase 3.
Print money.
Print money, where you spend based on your capacity to handle the new business.
And the key metric that governs all of this is the LTGP to CAC ratio, lifetime gross profit to customer acquisition cost. Magic number is 3-to-1.
Yeah, he saw across all his companies that the ones that struggled to scale were always below that 3-to-1 ratio. You need that much margin to cover fulfillment, survive ad platform volatility, and still have money to reinvest. If your CAC is too high, he said it's usually not an ad problem, it's a business model problem. Your lifetime profit is too low.
And he has a final brilliant solution for the cash flow problem that plagues even profitable companies: client-financed acquisition.
This is the key to what he calls limitless scale. It just means that the customer pays for their own acquisition cost within the first 30 days.
How do you do that?
By selling high-margin upsells immediately after the first purchase. If the initial sale plus the immediate upsell covers your entire CAC and fulfillment cost, that customer is now effectively free. You can take every dollar they gave you and immediately reinvest it into more ads to get another customer. It breaks the cash flow constraint.
A massive advantage. It's a self-funding growth engine.
Okay, so we've covered the core 4, the methods you do yourself. Now we get to the second half of the book, which is all about leverage. Getting other people, the lead getters, to do the advertising for you.
This is where you really scale your time and impact. And these lead getters are customers, employees, agencies, and affiliates. Let's start with number 1, customer referrals.
He calls this the exponential engine. It's the highest profit, lowest cost source of leads you will ever have. And it's exponential. 1 happy customer brings 2, those 2 bring 4. It compounds on itself.
But most businesses don't get referrals. And he says it's for 2 simple reasons.
Your product isn't remarkable enough, or you just don't ask. And the key to making it remarkable is building what he calls goodwill.
And goodwill is just the gap between the price they paid and the value they got.
Exactly. Value minus price equals goodwill. So you have to intentionally engineer that gap by setting low expectations and then massively over-delivering.
He gives 6 ways to do that, but the one that really stood out to me was forcing faster wins.
Oh, that one's huge. A customer's lasting impression is formed in the first 48 hours, so you have to do whatever it takes to make sure they get a tangible, small win in that period. It builds immediate momentum and makes them feel like they made the right choice.
And then once you've built that goodwill, you have to actually ask for the referral.
You have to be intentional. The best model is the 2-sided referral benefit, like Dropbox or PayPal did. You basically pay your CAC to both the person referring and the new customer they bring in. It's a viral incentive.
So powerful. Okay, next, lead getter, employees. Why does hiring people turn lead generation from a skill into a sellable asset?
Because it's the moment you stop owning a high-paying job and start owning a real business, an asset that has value beyond your personal labor. You're trading your own work for management and eventually trading that management time for a manager. It's pure leverage.
And to make that work, the training has to be perfect. That's the 3Ds framework.
Document, demonstrate, duplicate. You first document the entire process in a checklist. Then you demonstrate it for the new hire. And finally, they duplicate it until the outcome is identical every time. It makes the result repeatable no matter who's doing the task.
And you can calculate an employee's CAC just like you would for an ad campaign.
Right. You take their total payroll cost and divide it by the number of engaged leads they generate. If that number is low, they are a profitable asset that is scaling your business.
Let's talk about the third one, agencies. He has a very different take on how to use them.
He does. He says most people fall into the agency trap.
The bait and switch.
The bait and switch. They sell you with their A-team, their senior expert. You get great results. And then a month later, you're handed off to a junior rep and your results tank. So you're stuck in this cycle of hiring and firing agencies.
So what's the fix, the strategic way to use an agency?
You treat them as a short-term skill transfer tool. You hire them with an explicit deadline, say 6 months, and you tell them up front, we are paying you extra to teach us the why behind what you do.
So you're paying for an education, not just a service.
Exactly. You want to absorb all the knowledge from their best people. And once your internal team, who they've trained, starts getting better results than the agency, you've won. You keep the skill forever.
That's a brilliant reframe. And the final lead getter, number 4, affiliates, the army of sellers.
This is a second layer of exponential growth. Affiliates use their audience to send you customers, and then those customers can go on to refer more customers. It's incredibly high leverage.
And the offer to the affiliate has to be super simple.
It has to be a no-brainer for them, a fast, easy way for them to make money from their audience without having to build a product or deal with customer support.
He details the launch and integrate strategy. How does that work?
In the launch phase, the affiliate promotes one of your lead magnets to their audience to build up a big engaged list, and then they sell your core product to that list. In the integrate phase, it's more long-term. The affiliate integrates your offer into their own. So for example, they might sell their main program, and as a bonus, they give away your free nutrition consult. And then during that consult, you get to upsell your main product.
Everyone wins. The affiliate's offer is more valuable, and you get pre-qualified leads from a trusted source.
And the returns can be incredible. He shows a benchmark of a 12.5 to 1 LTGP to CAC ratio from a well-run affiliate program. That's the kind of leverage that creates truly limitless scale.
Okay, we've covered the 8 ways to get leads, the 4 you do and the 4 others do for you. Now let's talk about the mindset for optimizing all of this. He calls it the more, better, new framework.
And this is designed to combat what he calls the size of the pie fallacy.
Which is the mistaken belief that you've run out of customers.
Right. It's the entrepreneur who's only using one ad on Facebook and thinks they've saturated the entire market for their industry. He says there are always more leads.
So to find them, you start with more. You just increase your inputs until something breaks.
It's about committing to pure volume first. He has this rule of 100 primary advertising actions every day for 100 days straight. If you do cold calls, that's 100 calls a day. If you write content, it's 100 pieces. Just doubling your input with no other changes will get you more leads.
Once you've maxed out on more, you move to better. This is about efficiency, but specifically at the bottleneck.
At the constraint. The single step in your funnel with the biggest drop-off. You identify that weakest link, and you test one thing at a time to improve it.
One thing a week per platform.
That's the discipline. So you can isolate what's actually working. You relentlessly test to improve that one single constraint.
And only when the returns from more and better start to slow down do you finally introduce something new.
Exactly. New is the last step. And even then, you do it in stages. First, a new ad placement on a platform you already know, then maybe a whole new platform. And only as a final step do you add an entirely new core 4 activity, like hiring an agency for the first time.
This whole progression maps out a clear path to becoming, as he says, a $100 M+ lead generation machine.
It's a roadmap. Levels 1 and 2 are you, maximizing your personal work with warm outreach and content. Level 3 is hiring employees to scale your inputs. Level 4 is perfecting your product to drive referrals. And levels 5 and 6 are all about scaling through external leverage, agencies, affiliates, and high-level executives.
But to get through all those levels, you need a different mindset about work itself, moving from doing your best to doing what is required.
This is the open-to-goal mindset. Elite performers don't stop when they're tired. They stop when the goal for the day is met. If the goal is 5 new customers, you work until you have 5 new customers, whether that takes you 6 hours or 16. The outcome is the only thing that matters.
And he shares 3 daily habits that enabled him to work with that kind of intensity.
They're so simple. Wake up early, like 4 or 5 a.m., get straight to work, no phone, no rituals, and the big one, no meetings before noon. That creates this huge 4 or 5 hour block of uninterrupted deep work on the single most important thing, which for him was always lead generation.
So to wrap up this deep dive into $100 leads, let's just boil down the key takeaways. This isn't a theory book, it's an operating manual.
It really is. The whole system is about defining your engaged lead, mastering those core 4 methods, trading time first, then money, and then scaling everything by getting the 4 lead getters to advertise for you.
And for anyone listening who feels like this is all too complex or they don't know where to start, his final piece of wisdom is the most important. The many-sided die fable.
Yeah, this is a great one. Learning advertising is like rolling a die where you don't know how many sides it has. Most sides are red, meaning you fail and lose some money. Only one side is green, a win.
Every time you roll red, you learn something, but you never know how many more rolls it will take to hit green.
But there are 2 guarantees. 1, the more you roll, the better you get. And 2, if you quit, you're guaranteed to lose.
That's the final promise of the book, and it's the only competitive advantage that matters in the long run. You cannot lose if you do not quit.
A powerful place to end. And for anyone who wants to go deeper, the author has a ton of free resources and training materials on his website, acquisition.com, and on his podcast, The Game.
This has been an incredibly valuable deep dive into a really powerful book. A huge thanks for breaking it all down for us, and thank you for joining us.